we have to deal with the fact that the NFL is handling, or at least trying to, its first COVID-19 outbreak of the regular season. On Sunday, there was a near miss because A.J. Terrell, the Falcons cornerback, was placed on the COVID-19 reserve list, and there was an emergency round of contact tracing and testing to determine that no other Falcons players were positive and they'd be able to play the Bears-Falcons game. That worked out. We now don't know what's going to happen for the Tennessee Titans or the Minnesota Vikings. We should know more today as the 24-hour turnaround testing gives us more of an insight as to how widespread the outbreak is with the Titans, who have 3 players and 5 personnel who are positive for COVID-19. Yesterday, the news came out of nowhere after we went off the air.
Yeah.
Titans, Vikings shutting down their facilities. Titans closed until Saturday.
Wow.
Titans may have to play the Steelers on Sunday without the benefit of a single practice. We don't know at this point what's going to happen. So the bottom line is it finally occurred. I don't know. We may have jinxed it yesterday, Chris, because I said, hey, the good news is we've gotten through 3 weeks, 48 games, no issues. This is fine. They've gotten it under control until they don't. So now we've got this thing that is unresolved, that is uncertain, and that is unsettling as it relates to the NFL's ability to get the remaining 208 regular season games played.
Yeah, no, it is concerning. There's no question about that. It is. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm in panic mode or anything like that quite yet. It is just 3 players. I mean, when do they think we're going to hear more results from the rest of the Tennessee Titans football team?
I assume today.
Right? Yeah, today,
as I said.
Right? Okay.
As I said, today.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know where I missed that.
Because you've got the point of care testing that can give you a quick idea as to whether or not someone's positive, and then you've got the send it away and wait for the results 24-hour turnaround. My guess is yesterday they tested every single person in both of those organizations, and we'll see who's positive and who's not, and the contact tracing to see who the 3 positive players and the 5 non-players who are positive came into any type of close contact with, who may need closer monitoring because they may not be positive yesterday or today, but they could be positive tomorrow if they were in contact with those folks. So that's the statement from Roger Goodell made it clear that this isn't a surprise. They're not surprised by this. They were bracing for this.
Of course.
And I think part of the problem is it went so well. See, that was the concern. That's what a coach told me back in August when the NFL started subtly thumping its chest about how well everything was going. Don't do it. You're going to make people complacent, and they're going to do stupid things. More on that coming up in a minute. So, Chris, we expected this. We had hoped it wouldn't happen, but it's not a surprise. And now the question is, how do they deal with it?
Yeah, I mean that's the big question to me. I mean, first off, just I'm amazed, like, just at topical level, that it's only 3 guys, right? I think that amazes me sometimes that there was an outbreak on the team and it's only 3 guys at this point. So it's that's shocking to me. And then, like, is there any way or correlation or connection between these guys, right? That's the next thing you look at. And I think that's the other thing that jumps out to you is you just go, wait, it's a D lineman, a long snapper, and a tight end. They're not in the same room. Were they sitting next to each other on the plane ride home? Was there something like that? That's where I'm just interested to see. I mean, just because we're so new to the virus still. And it's amazing how some people get it, some people don't, and whatever else it is. But that's amazing to me, Mike. And then lastly, just on the field, I mean, you talked about it, like maybe having a week of no practice, no preparation, no walkthroughs, just having to do Zoom meetings, and you got to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. You couldn't be playing a worse team to not have a week of no practice and walkthroughs. Pittsburgh's the type of team when you play them, you usually have to do extra walkthroughs because their defense does so much crap and has so many different things they do on that side of the ball that it takes a coaching staff a little bit more of time than a normal week to kind of get ready to play them. So that was just the first thing that I thought about football-wise, Mike.
Let me pose the question to you then, Christopher, that Shereen Williams posed to me on yesterday afternoon's PFT PM, 5 p.m. Eastern weekdays on Peacock.
Right.
Should the Steelers, as a matter of basic competitive equity, be prevented from going to the facility this week and practicing this week?
No, absolutely not. They're good. We've discussed this already. Remember back, we had these conversations, and especially, again, I know maybe like you just get bad luck and maybe somebody on the Tennessee they just got unlucky. Okay, and that's cool. But if we find out that one of these guys did something stupid, like we're going to talk about some other teams here in a second, if we find out that, then they don't deserve a free pass or anything. For one team's doing it the right way. I don't know what happened with the other team. But sorry, no, Pittsburgh gets to practice. They're ready to go. Their facility's clean. Their players are good to go.
See, I initially was intrigued by Shireen's question, but then I remembered the point that you had hammered when we talked about whether or not games would go forward if a team is wiped out at a given position group or can't dress 46 players. Too bad. You should have kept the virus out of your building. It's the ultimate pass-fail test.
It is.
And Chris, I'm not even willing to co-sign with the idea that if somebody from the Titans did something stupid, it's pass-fail.
Yeah, I get
These mechanisms have been put in place to ensure that the virus stays out of the facility. If you have failed to keep it out of the facility, that's on you. If you end up not being able to practice for an entire week before a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers or any team, that's on you. That's not on the Steelers. The Steelers have kept it out of their building. Right. You haven't kept it out of your building, and you're going to have to find a way to get ready to play without the benefit of practice. Or one of the other possibilities that was reported yesterday, moving the game to Monday night, then I guess the Titans could get some work in advance of that game on Sunday, although it's a fairly significant game. Probably not a major footprint game, a 1 o'clock Eastern game, easy to peel it out of the bunch. Be very different if Titans-Steelers was the Sunday night football game or the Monday night football game or the Thursday night football game. Think of that.
Wow.
If this was the week that the Titans were playing on Thursday night instead of the Broncos and the Jets, who once upon a time were known as the Titans, we wouldn't have a Thursday night game. It just wouldn't happen.
No.
So there's an element of luck of the draw here, but this is the warning shot. This is the thing. And the best outcome here, Chris, is they can play the game as scheduled or play it Monday night. Or there's a way to shuffle the schedule around. And we laid this out yesterday. I started cross-referencing various schedules. You could move this game to Week 7 when the Titans are due to have a bye. Week 7, the Steelers are due to play the Ravens. But both teams, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, have a bye the next week. Very easy. Move Ravens-Steelers to Week 8, Titans-Steelers to Week 7. Problem solved. The only problem is the Steelers aren't going to get a bye week because they're going to practice all week, then not play a game. And then the week that was supposed to be their bye, what are they going to be doing? They're going to be practicing and getting ready to play the Ravens instead of having their week off because they play the Titans the day they were supposed to play the Ravens.
Yeah.
But, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This is what is going to happen. And that's why when Roger Goodell says it's not a competitive disadvantage to not have fans present, I think maybe the message is you ain't seen nothing yet because this season is going to be rife with potential competitive disadvantages because the overriding objective is what, Chris? Get the games in.
Yeah, get the games in. Listen, Mike, I'm not even in favor of the Monday night movement thing either. I mean, I don't think that's fair to do to a Pittsburgh team, again, that's done everything right. And, okay, they have no issues on their football team. And, you got to – and to follow that, they got an in-state battle the next week against Philadelphia. So, hey, short week here. We're going to throw it on you all of a sudden. I know you guys have done everything right, but the other team screwed it up. So, sorry, we're going to penalize you too. Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, it is fortunate to what you said that you can finagle the schedule there with those Week 7 and Week 9 buys. Very interesting that it worked out that way. I don't think it would always work out that easily if this did continue to happen. But even that, yes, if you're Pittsburgh, you're going to sit there and wait. So why are we the ones getting screwed over here again? Like, tell us why. We've done everything right. So I don't know where this goes. The good thing is it's only 3 players on the Tennessee Titans. So hopefully the spread's not that big. And regardless of where these 3 players are at in the COVID-19 protocol and all those things, the Titans will be able to survive without these 3 guys where, like, I know they might not be able to practice, but if they play football on Sunday, it won't be like, oh, man, they missed Bo Brinkley and Tommy Hudson. The game is over. Nope, it's a competitive disadvantage. So from that aspect, I mean, it's going to be a tough week for them, but it's not like their roster's flipped over.
Well, and here's the thing, too. One of the reasons why there is flexibility is because teams haven't had bye weeks yet. Once we get past that point where teams have had their weeks off, then there isn't going to be that easy little shift it here, shift it there, oh, fine, problem solved.
Right.
what we're going to have to do, and this is something Peter King first explained in the offseason, the possibility of having a Week 18 and a Week 19, which would entail the playing of games that were postponed. And that's, in theory, another possibility here. Instead of taking away the Steelers' bye week by having them get ready this week, ultimately not playing, but then play the Titans Week 7, play the Ravens Week 8, have no bye. Just don't play the game this weekend, which still keeps them from having a bye, but they still have their bye later. But then Week 18, they would play another game,
right,
and the postseason would be bumped back
exactly
by a week. So every wild card team would get a week off unless you're one of the teams that has to play Week 18, and the one seed in each conference would get 2 weeks off before they have to play again. But again, this is all about getting the games in. That's bottom line. It's very Machiavellian, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way. The ends justify the means, and the means, maybe it is in a pejorative way.
Well,
it's just the reality
using
is
that word first off. What's that mean? Pejorative? That's way above my pay scale. What's that one mean?
Sorry. It's something I use regularly. So anyway, here's another item of good news. Let's find the silver lining here. No positives for the Vikings yet.
Amazing.
Which tends to, Chris, support the idea, and I've been hearing this from people in the know for months, when you're outdoors or in a dome stadium with great ventilation and you're not in a confined space, the droplets that presumably, depending upon what day you pull up the CDC website, are the primary source of, I'm serious, the primary source of transmission, the droplets dissipate in that setting. So if no Vikings have picked it up, that's kind of, practical validation of that belief, which is good, because if one team does have an outbreak and it spreads to another team, that makes it even harder to continue with the season, and it makes the situation far worse. So no positives for the Vikings.
Amazing,
they're shut down for 48 hours, which
right,
actually is a competitive disadvantage to them.
Yeah.
They're trying to win a game. They got to play the Texans. Shut down 48 hours as of yesterday. That means no Wednesday practice. Their schedule is screwed up now. That's a game that you could argue could be moved or should be moved to Monday night, because all the Vikings did was show up and play the team that had the outbreak. They've got no fault in this at all.
No, you're right. That's the tough situation. The team like them who's done it right, you're right. And now, we forced you to close down because the other team had issues and everything there. And Tuesday, okay, not in the facility, you could deal with that. As you know, or anybody that follows the NFL, Tuesday's the player's day off. It's the coach's day to get the game plan ready, deep dive. They grind it out all day long. So they don't need to be at the office for that. They can live with that day, right? You can do a lot of that at home. Yeah, you're going to miss some meetings and whatever else, but we know that coaches are making that happen. But Wednesday practice, that's a tough one to miss, certainly. And that's probably going to be tough to swallow for a guy like Mike Zimmer, because it is such an important practice. They are 0-3. They're playing another 0-3 football team, and it's where the meat and potatoes of your game plan go in on that day, and you really get, a feel for the other team and how you're going to attack that team that day on a first and second down basis, basically, is what you go through. So that will be tough, and stinks for the Vikings. But what do you do? I don't know what you do there. Hopefully they can get their test back and they can get back their practice in tomorrow to where they only miss one day, and they can do their best to manage it from there.
Also, the officiating crew from Sunday's Titans-Vikings game, Clete Blakeman's crew, off this week in an abundance of caution. And remember, the officials aren't subject to the same frequency of testing, the same type of standards that apply to players and non-playing personnel with teams. They basically just show up at the game site day or two before, probably day before, get tested there, may get tested in their home market during the week, but not nearly the kind of everyday testing. And it's good that they test every day. Someone told me before the season that the league is likely to consider testing every day and continue that all season long. And after this outbreak in Tennessee, I think it makes it even more sensible.
Right.
But I think at a certain level, it does desensitize people to the seriousness of the situation, because on one hand, the routine of being tested every day holds you accountable. On the other hand, you can kind of shrug at things like, I get tested every day. I get but you may be positive. Just because you get tested every day doesn't mean you've got to go. And I hear people say that, and some of you may hear this as well. Like, if people are engaged in behavior that is just kind of dancing around the borderline of what is and what isn't acceptable for the purposes of limiting the spread, and they say, oh, I got tested last week, it's like,
who cares?
So?
What's that mean?
Who cares?
I know.
Did you get tested right now?
Right.
Do we know right now whether or not you're positive? So I think some of that attitude is going to creep in because, remember, the vast majority of these individuals are between 21 and 25 or 26, and number one, their brains may not have fully developed yet. Number two, they are young. They want to do things. They want to live their lives. They have a certain amount of fatigue, and they may allow themselves to think, I get tested every day. I can go do things.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.